Welcome back to the Red Dragon Inn. Roxana, the Adventurous Chef, is here to show off her chops and mix up some mean cuisine in this introduction video. To set up play as Roxana, shuffle your recipe deck and place it to the left of your player mat. Reveal the top card and place it near the Available Recipe spot on your player mat. Put the Smorgasbord tile to the right of your player mat. Some of the cards in Roxana's character deck have an ingredient icon in the bottom left. These ingredients come in 3 categories: meat, vegetables, and sauce. When a card like this resolves, you must place it on your cutting board above your player mat instead of putting it into your discard pile. It is now an ingredient that you can use to cook a recipe. If an ingredient card is ignored or otherwise altered, it still goes to your cutting board. If an ingredient card is negated, none of its effects happen, so it goes directly to your discard pile. You may not place a card on your cutting board if that card does not have an ingredient icon. Some ingredient cards also have a blue cleaver icon in the bottom left. If this card resolves, it then goes to your cutting board as normal. But you may also place a single additional ingredient card from your hand directly to the cutting board. This second card just moves to your cutting board. None of its effects happen. If the second card also has a blue cleaver icon, you may not chain the effects to add another card to your cutting board. One card, everything's prepped, who's hungry, is simply an anytime card that allows you to place up to 3 ingredient cards from your hand onto your cutting board. As with other cleaver effects, you do not get any effects on the cards you put on the cutting board, including any cleaver icons on those cards. At the beginning of your turn, reveal the top card from your recipe deck and put it near the Available Recipe spot on your player mat. If there is already a recipe there, you must choose which recipe you wish to keep, putting the other one face down on the bottom of the recipe deck. No player may take any other game actions while Roxana is deciding which recipe to keep, and Roxana may not choose to cook one of them at this time. To cook a recipe, spend the indicated ingredients from your cutting board by moving those cards to your discard pile. Then, take the recipe card into your hand. Once a recipe card is in your hand, you may play it whenever you could play a card of its indicated subtype: action, sometimes, or anytime. Cooking a recipe does not cause a new recipe to be revealed. When you play a recipe card, it goes to your character deck's discard pile. This means that if you reshuffle your deck, you could get the recipe card again later. Some recipe costs include hybrid ingredient symbols. You may meet such a symbol's requirements by spending one of either of the indicated ingredient types. When Roxana isn't sure what to do with all of her ingredients, she can just cook something random for the Smorgasbord. The Smorgasbord is like a recipe that is always available to Roxana. At any time, you may spend any 3 ingredients from your cutting board to draw a card from your character deck. You may repeat this as many times as you can afford. Activating a Smorgasbord counts as playing an anytime card, so a few cards in the game could affect it, such as Captain Whitehawk's "That's quite enough of your shenanigans." If a Smorgasbord activation is negated, you do not get a refund of the ingredients you spent to activate it. If your character deck runs out, immediately shuffle your discard pile, including any recipe cards you've cooked and played, and use that as your new character deck. Any cards on your cutting board stay there during the reshuffle. If the recipe deck runs out of cards, you continue playing without revealing any more recipes. You must still put ingredient cards onto your cutting board as usual though, which you may then use to activate a Smorgasbord. Your cutting board and your available recipe are not part of your hand, so if an effect instructs you to discard cards, they must be from your hand. However, a recipe card in your hand acts like any other card in your hand. It counts towards your hand size and can be discarded to an effect that instructs you to discard. If you discard an ingredient card without playing it, it goes straight to your discard pile, not to your cutting board. Roxana may activate the Smorgasbord at any time, so if she's about to lose, she can, and should, spend her remaining ingredients in a last-ditch effort to save herself. Thanks for watching. If you want to keep learning about the Red Dragon Inn, you can see how to play with Otto, our mechanical friend. Or you can learn about Ohava versus Murgath, one of our oddest ally pairs yet.